white people would come into an area in North, Central, and South America, or the Pacific Islands, such as Hawaii, such as New Zealand, such as Tahiti, and they would come with technology and leadership skills, and they would establish a civilization, and the subject peoples, their populations would boom because there was wealth and law and order and prosperity, and the subject population of these brown-skinned people began to explode. And because these white people were kind and decent, they would share some of their technology and their products and their leadership techniques with some of the brighter of, these young people from the brown-skinned populations. But you know what? Some of these brown-skinned people, they get together over drinks and they say, why don't we just rise up and slit their throats one night since they trust us, and we'll take this civilization, we'll run it, and we'll have all the wealth. And then we can rape their blonde-haired, blue-eyed women, too. We can take them for our own.
John.
Over and over, you see this pattern, and that's what Thor Heyerdahl has seen in North America, Central America, South America, and the Pacific, and we're seeing it right now in South Africa.
John, you're also seeing it right here in the United States. We've got 30 million, yeah. 20 to 30 million illegal aliens in this country. Nobody knows exactly how many because we can't count them. And they are responsible for the murder of over 60,000 Americans since 9/11. Since 9/11.
Oh, it's horrible. Well, let me go back to the Anasazi, if I may, because I contacted several of these 3 scientists who were listed. I won't say which one I spoke with directly. There was a Dr. Potter, a Mr. Chipka, and a Dr. McClelland, and I know that they would not want me to reveal the name of the person, but I spoke with one of them, and all 3 are distinguished scientists with careers and families and whatnot. And I mentioned the whole Solutrean theory that white people were here long before the Indians, created civilizations, and then were wiped out. And I mentioned the Solutreans. I mentioned then Stanford of the Smithsonian Institution with his belief that whites were here first. I mentioned Bruce Bradley, graduate of Oxford University in England, and the world's greatest authority on flint spearheads and arrowheads. And in fact, he has videos about how you can, with flint knapping, you can knock away the edges and make your own flint spearhead. And you can do it in 20 minutes. He is the world expert on this. And I mentioned Thor Heyerdahl's books, and I gave them every opportunity to say to me, between the lines, oh no, you got it wrong. Now, the Anasazi were just another bunch of Navajos. They were of the same Asiatic race. I gave them every opportunity to tell me I was wrong in what I was hinting at. And what I said was that I said, in your article you're talking about biological differences, cranial differences, which means the skull shape, dentitional differences, which means the teeth were lined up differently. And twice this one scientist said to me, this is a very politically and ethnically sensitive issue. And one of them said to me, the Navajo will not allow us, and with federal law backing them up, to do any DNA testing of the bones. And I said, but look, when Dr. James Chatters first saw the skull of Kennewick Man, long before any DNA testing, he could tell just by the cheekbones and the teeth and the shape of the chin and the forehead that it looked like a Swede, it looked like a Norwegian. It was that long, narrow, Northern European, Aryan type forehead. And they said, you could tell by the bones, even without the DNA testing. And the scientist said to me, again, we're getting into an area of great political and ethnic sensitivity. And I believe that interpreting what he said, he was saying to me, Mr. JdeNugent, you're onto something here. I can't say what I know to be true, but I am saying it right now for the first time, Clay Davis, on your radio show. I believe the Anasazi, who were genocided by the Navajo, were white And this great civilization in this four-state area was a white Aryan civilization. And once again, whites build a civilization, and non-whites become full of hatred and jealousy at this superior culture, and they murder us. They mass murder our people.
Now, what's happening? What's happening here? What's happening?
They never rebuild anything that is equal to it.
What's happening here is exactly that. We've got these non-whites coming over here. They're being pushed up here. I mean, it's not really, I can't blame them a lot for coming up here, because if my government, if I couldn't work in Acapulco, if I couldn't feed my family, I'd be walking up here with them, wouldn't you?
Sure. Well, the thing is, in my view, as the founder of the Sisyphean movement, the Eternal Salutrians, I am not in a negative sense a racist. I don't hate other races. What I do believe, and what a man who was very defamed constantly, Adolf Hitler, said in a famous speech he gave in March of 1944, it's called the Platterhof speech. And he was philosophizing about many things, because the war was going very badly and he didn't know what was going to happen, but he was telling a bunch of young German officers how he viewed life and racial questions and the future. And he said, there are many races with many gifts, but the Nordic race, the tall, blonde, blue-eyed people, they seem to have a gift for leadership. Other races, if I wanted to have a party, I wouldn't just invite a bunch of Swedes and Norwegians, because they'd be sort of introverted and shy and quiet and silent, because it's their nature. But they're great leaders. They're great at organizing and leading and planning and calculating the costs and the details of things. I'd rather have an Irishman or an Italian, or I'd rather have black people over if I want to make sure my party's going to be fun, and have some Mexicans and so forth, because they're warm and they're friendly. So I think all races, all of God's children, have gifts. Some of us are more warm and charming, and black people make me laugh. They just get a great sense of humor. They can just shake off their woes, and people go off and hang themselves constantly. We're sort of a loner race. So I don't think white people are superior in everything, but we have a proven track record, from the Parthenon in classical Greece to the Notre Dame Cathedral to the symphonies to the space shuttle to the U.S. Constitution. We have a track record of building great civilizations, and I think other races should cherish us as their white brothers and say, white people are good for the whole human race. We build quality and nations based on freedom and human dignity. And the Chinese and the blacks and the Jews and everybody should want to see us staying alive, so we can benefit them as well as our own selves.
Why do they attack it? I'm just working on an article here, about what I've experienced in the Patriot movement. And I'm experiencing the same thing in this, my Saturday morning refuge from an insane world, a breakfast club over here. While we're talking about the machinations of the elitist plan for one world government, trying to formulate a plan or a strategy of opposition, it is your neighbor or your family that presents the largest obstacle to a peaceful, reasonable solution. These family members and neighbors, whether they be Jews, Christians, or Muslims in your neighborhood, are not consciously a part of this plan for world domination. Rather, they're isolated, fed proper propaganda for their ethnic or religious group, and they're fed slogans on both conscious and subconscious levels. And I don't think that few people raised watching television had a mental capacity to even discern good or evil, Well,
one of the things that people are always shocked at the fact that Adolf Hitler got rid of the parliamentary democracy in Germany. But what he said was, 90% of the people are very middling in terms of both intellect and character. They will only do the right thing if they see other people doing the right thing. As individuals, they're often not heroic. Look at people allowing themselves to be groped now at the airports. I mean, isn't that unbelievable? The stuff people are putting up with. We're putting up with Mexicans and blacks and homosexuals. invading our schools, invading the minds of our children. The stuff we are putting up with, it proves the average person is not very heroic. And George Washington saw this. In that horrible winter in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, 1777, broke, no medicine, almost no food. We have his letters to the Continental Congress saying people are defaming. He's saying, I'm afraid to go out and attack the British. I have no money. I have no food. My soldiers have no shoes. I've got 7,000 guys here, a 3 million population in the 13 colonies, and only 7,000 guys are standing here with me. All throughout human history, only a tiny minority of heroes stands up and makes history. And the rest sit aside and scratch their rump, or the most they'll do is they'll criticize you. And that's the way it is. And so our founding fathers did not create a democracy. They created a constitutional republic. The only part of our federal government that is directly democratic is the House of Representatives. The president is to be elected by the Electoral College, not directly by the people. The U.S. Senate originally was appointed by the state legislators as the ambassadors of the state to the federal government. The Supreme Court is appointed by the president, who was himself elected by the Electoral College, not directly by the people, and approved by the Senate, which originally was also appointed by the states, not directly by the people. Almost all of the federal government was designed to not be democratic, because the average person, unfortunately, is an ignorant slob.
All right, we're almost out of time here, and we'll have to leave it on that word. Give out your website. It's linked on my site. And if you would do an email, tell everybody about this show. You made some great points, and I really appreciate you having you on, and I want you back in a couple of weeks.
Well, thank you very much, Clay. It's JdeNugent2.wmv.com, and thank you. I'm honored to be a guest again on your show. Clay, you're a courageous man, and your show is always very interesting.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I can use all the strokes that I can get, and don't forget to send money. Merry Christmas.
Don't bless, just throw money.
God bless. God bless. See ya.
See you.
Okay, folks, that's almost it. Oh shit!
Hope you're not still on the air.
Okay, well I'm trying to get everything going here, or stopped here, but yeah, I screwed up here. All right, I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, take care, Glenn. Thanks, bye.
Welcome to TalkShoe. Please enter the call ID followed by the pound key. You may access the call up to 15 minutes before. Your entry is not valid, or your call is not scheduled at this time. 8. Welcome to TalkShoe. Please enter the call ID. Your entry is not valid, or your call is not scheduled at this time. 8. Enter your PIN followed by the Your PIN was not recognized or is being used by another caller. Voice users, note that touch tones can be unreliable across the internet. Please be persistent. You may dial at any time during this announcement. Enter your PIN followed by the pound key. If you are not a TalkShoe member, press 1 then pound. To get access to all features, Sign up for a free account at TalkShoe.com. Enter your PIN followed by the pound key. If you are not a TalkShoe member, welcome to TalkShoe. Please enter the call ID followed by the pound. Welcome to TalkShoe. Your entry is not valid, or your call is not scheduled at this time. 8. Welcome to TalkShoe. Please enter the call ID followed by the... Your entry is not valid, or your call is not scheduled at this time. 8. Welcome to TalkShoe. Please enter the call ID followed by the pound key. Enter your PIN. You are now joining the call.
Recorded live.
You are unmuted.
Alright, thanks for listening, guys.
Call recording has been completed.
Alright, see ya.